People love to argue about protein quality, animal versus plant, complete versus incomplete, amino acid profiles, digestibility scores, processing, purity. These debates sound technical and scientific, and in certain contexts, they do matter. But focusing on protein quality too early causes most people to miss the much larger and far more common problem. They are not eating enough protein in the first place. So the real question is not which protein source is best. The real question is what actually drives outcomes like muscle maintenance, strength, recovery, functional capacity, and long-term resilience. And the answer is simpler than most people expect. Quantity comes first. Protein quality only becomes meaningfully important after protein quantity is already adequate. This distinction matters because quality arguments are often used as a justification for low intake. People say they eat clean. They say they avoid processed foods. They say they eat mostly plants. They say they focus on whole, natural sources. And they assume that because the food is high quality, their protein intake must be sufficient. Very often, it is not. Protein quality refers to how well a protein source supplies the amino acids the body needs, especially the essential amino acids that cannot be made internally and must come from the diet. It also refers to digestibility, how much of the protein consumed is actually absorbed and available for use. Animal proteins tend to score highly on these measures because they contain all essential amino acids in proportions that closely match human needs, and they are generally easy to digest. Many plant proteins are lower in one or more essential amino acids and may be less digestible due to fiber, anti-nutrients, or food structure. These differences are real, measurable, and physiologically relevant. But context matters. If total protein intake is low, protein quality does not rescue the outcome. Muscle protein synthesis depends on reaching certain amino acid thresholds. Below those thresholds, the signal to build or even maintain muscle is weak, regardless of how clean or high quality the protein source is. Once intake is high enough to meet those thresholds, quality influences efficiency. But quantity has to come first. This becomes increasingly important with age. As people get older, anabolic sensitivity declines. The muscle becomes less responsive to the same protein stimulus that once worked easily. The margin for error shrinks. Small protein shortfalls that did not matter at age 30 can have meaningful consequences at 50 or 60. In that context, debates about purity, sourcing, and ideology become distractions. People end up optimizing the wrong variable. Another practical issue is protein density. Some foods are high quality in theory but low in protein per calorie or per volume. That makes it difficult to eat enough protein without excessive fullness or unintended calorie restriction. This is one of the most common reasons people underconsume protein without realizing it. They feel full. They eat nutrient-dense foods. They believe they are eating well. But protein intake quietly falls short. This is not a failure of food quality. It is a mismatch between diet structure and physiological need. Protein quality matters more when intake is marginal. It matters when appetite is low. It matters when total food intake is limited. It matters for people relying heavily on plant-based diets. It matters when protein density must be maximized due to calorie constraints. In those cases, higher quality proteins deliver more usable amino acids per gram and reduce the risk of falling below critical thresholds. But none of this changes the hierarchy. First, get enough protein. Then, optimize quality if needed. There is also a psychological trap built into protein quality discussions. Quality often carries moral weight. Foods get labeled clean or dirty, natural or processed. Protein powders, animal products, and convenience foods are framed as inferior, artificial, or suspect. This framing causes people to avoid tools that would actually help them meet their protein needs consistently. From a physiological standpoint, protein is protein. The body does not care whether amino acids came from a shake, a steak, or a bean. What matters is whether enough usable protein shows up day after day over long periods of time. A lower quality protein source that helps someone consistently meet intake is often far better than a theoretically perfect source they fail to eat enough of. Over long time horizons, consistency beats purity. Muscle loss does not occur because someone chose the wrong protein source on a given day. It occurs because intake is insufficient across months and years. That is why quantity dominates outcomes. Once quantity is reliably adequate, quality becomes a refinement rather than a rescue. At that point, quality choices can improve efficiency, comfort, digestion, and sustainability. But they are not the foundation. The practical takeaway is straightforward. If you struggle to meet protein needs, stop worrying about perfect sources. Focus first on adequacy and consistency. If intake is solid and stable, then quality choices can enhance results. But never let quality debates distract from the primary goal, providing enough protein to support muscle, strength, recovery, and long-term resilience. In the next episode, we'll examine animal versus plant protein directly, without ideology, and explain the real trade-offs involved. This is Protein Truth.